I am now halfway through my Bloodborne pledge, and I'm really wondering what I do to myself because this game just keeps getting weirder, creepier, more tentacles. No! Oh, the teeth! Oh, the teeth and the eyes. Welcome back, Classic Crew, to Hey Jay's Folly, where I pledge to fight and defeat every boss in Bloodborne for some strange reason. Careful what you commit to. You think you're having fun for a few hours and something, then you're like, oh, I'm just going to do the whole thing. Well, the whole thing might be very different than the initial thing. All that to say, I have now 12 bosses left to hunt down in my pledge. Bloodborne is getting super freak, and it's just getting weirder and weirder. But with all this past week was very painful. Let's just say that I'm getting some scarring from this game. It's getting weirder. It's getting harder. And I have to say though, I'm quite proud of the progress. In hindsight, like in the moment, I was like, oh my God, what am I doing to myself? This is rough. But in hindsight, I'm like, oh, I did quite a bit. I'm progressing quite a bit through this nightmarish experience. So, I've learned from all of you that the weapons in Bloodborne have different efficiencies against different monsters, which is not something I knew. And when I came to the stream, I pointed that out, and people were like, "Yeah, you got to read the description of your items." I was like, "What do you mean?" So I read it, the cleaver saw thing, and it's like the flavor text mentions that this weapon likes the blood of beasts. I'm like, I'm supposed to read that and understand that it means use this weapon against beasts. That is some bullshittery right there, because I would have never have put that together if you didn't tell me. So now I know that different weapons have different efficiencies. So I've tried a new weapon. I tried the threaded cane because I was very curious, because I saw that it was like a whip. I like it, but I don't love it, so I'm not going to be using it. And I can only like level so many weapons. So instead, I leveled up Ludwig's Holy Blade. I finally leveled up enough to unlock it. It's at level 7 now, and it's replaced the hammer in my arsenal because it's quite versatile. You get the big like swings of a great sword for big damage and big swings, but when needed, you can go to little sword and go wacha. So you get the best of both worlds, and it does some good damage. I don't think it's as cool because it's just a sword. Like, it's not as cool as a switching weapon or like a switch saw or whatever, but you gotta play with what the game gives you that makes more damage. And right now that is Ludwig's Holy Blade. So I'm gonna be using that along with the switch saw, because switch saw is my first baby in this game. So last time I left off with Cainhur's Castle being a complete bullshit fest. So I went back to Bergenworth, slapped that hunter around. I think it only took me 2 tries, and then more I could unlock a little bit more. So I explored the little mansion. It was actually quite a short area. Jumped into a lake to find my first boss of the night, which was Rom, the vacuous spider. It was disgusting. Its face has too many holes for a spider, and then there's a bunch of little spiders with, again, too many holes on their face. So my first instinct as a hunter is I started smacking the face, and I was like, wait a minute, this isn't doing anything to the health. Whereas when I was slashing the body, the health bar was going down quite rapidly. So I quickly learned, don't hit the face of the spider, hit the body. And then the next thing I learned is don't bother killing the little spiders, because so I was going after the mama spider, and then after a while she teleports and summons more baby spiders, and then I'm like, okay, this is getting crazy. There's a sea of little spiders. I'm trying to hit mama spider, and now she's throwing magic energy at me. I'm like, this is too much. So I thought maybe we got to go in and kill the little spiders. So I pulled out my hammer, whacked them around, and then I died to the mama spider. I was like, okay, this took far too long to kill all the little spiders. I'm not going to keep trying over and over again to clear out the mobs just to get a run at the big mama. I don't have that kind of patience. So I just, weaved slash on big mama, kept going, pivot, come back, slash, and I just kind of did these like zigzag runs to go through the mob. It reminded me a little bit of the priest boss. I forget their names, but the crowd of priests that you go through in Dark Souls 3, it was a very similar vibe to that, just less satisfying because as you're slashing through, you're not killing a bunch of the little spiders. They require a few more hits. So Rom died, and then things got weird. Like, the weirdest FromSoft has ever been for me. So stuff happened. A baby started crying forever at this point. There's always a baby crying. I was teleported to a place where there's the big dude with the tentacles for the face looking at me, and I can actually see him now, versus this is the guy that groped me before, but he was kind of invisible. Now I could totally see him. So I ran past him and people were like, no, let him touch you. And I was like, that sounds like really bad advice. And Troll has led me astray many times. I'm like, I don't think I should let the big tentacle monster touch me. And they said, no, we promise, we swear it's good this time. And I had zero confidence in chat. I just want to be clear. But I'm like, you know what? If it's trolly, we'll do it for the laughs. And if they're honest, maybe something will happen. So I went back, I let the big tentacle man touch me, and I was sent off to the lecture building in near Nightmare Frontier. So this is actually kind of nice that chat sent me to an optional area. The lecture building was quite nice. I actually liked the aesthetics. I liked the monsters in there. It was very cool to explore that thing. I felt comfortable in that area. And all of that went away when we went into the Nightmare Frontiers, where all sorts of ghoulies exist, including, I don't know their name, but they're basically brains that sing, which is now my ultimate worst enemy of the entirety of all video games. This thing sucks so much. Like, it is, I have no words to describe how bad it is. So as soon as it sees you, you get pierced by like these red arrows that deal you damage, and then it starts singing its song, I think, and then you die. You just die. So as soon as you see it, you have to kill it before it sees you. But even if it dies, it can still kill you from the frenzy, and it's just like, it knocks you out fast. It doesn't even have to touch you. That's the thing. It doesn't even have to touch you. It just has to look at you, and it's like la la la, and then you die. It's such a dumb mechanic. I hate it. Also in Nightmare Frontier, we met a fellow spider that pushed me over, very Patch-like, and I think it was Patch's voice from Dark Souls. I was like, oh, is this like a gimmick in all FromSoft games now? There's at every point in a FromSoft game, you're just gonna get pushed off a cliff by someone or something that laughs at you, because honestly, it's kind of charming, and I'm okay with it at this point. It's the third time I got kicked off a cliff by a rando who laughs at me, and I'm like, at this point, you know, that's the least of the bad things that happen in these games. There's also poison swamps. So literally Nightmare Frontier is the stuff of Nightmare. It's all the worst of, it's all bad stuff. But I made it through, and I made it to the Amigdala, which is again this big thing with tentacles. I have some major issues with this because my first instinct, big monster, love it, got close, and the camera's like it's dancing to disco back there. I don't know like what the camera's doing, but it's not looking at me and it's not looking at the monster. It's like going or something. So I should never make those sounds. I absolutely hate that the game does not encourage you to get close to big monsters because the camera goes wonky. The game expects you to stand away from the monster so the camera can see the whole monster, and that's when things are okay. But then, like with this monster, you have to basically watch it. Its head comes down and then you smash the head. That's the mechanic. But it's very counterintuitive to how I play, where it's like, I want to go and smack on the limbs. I want to be close to it. And as soon as you get close, the game punishes you for it. So that's just an issue I feel has been consistent in this game, where the bigger the monster, the worse the camera, unless you play a very specific way. And that's just not cool. Like, let me play the way I want to. So Amigdala was dead. We went back into the world of not optional. And, I noticed that when I tried to teleport back to the church where, what's her name? I know the toilet paper girl. I couldn't teleport there. Some strange force blocked it. So I went to the church before it and ran there to see what was going on. And one of my NPCs was pretty badly hurt on the outside, the one that I've been following her quest line. So she's like, oh, my final prey is in there. Don't worry, I'll take care of him. And she's like bleeding out. I'm like, okay, let's go see what's in here. And in there, I found an NPC that just wiped the floor with me in literally one shot. He would shoot me and all my health was gone. Not so frustrating, because I kept going back. I was like, there's got to be a way to do this. Like, it comes down to the parrying. In my best run against him, I got him in half health. Honestly, it's the type of boss I am okay going up against like over and over. I don't know if it's actually a boss though. I think it's just an optional NPC. I tried 5-6 times against them. and always got about half of his health. And I'm just like, okay, this will probably be more manageable once I'm a little bit more leveled up. Right now I'm in my early level 50s at this point, and I'm like, I don't want to commit too much of the stream just to fight this thing at this point. So I kept going with the path of the story, made it to Yahar'gul, the unseen village, and this place is a whole new level of bullshittery in these universes. I can't believe there's designers out there that intentionally do this to players. So this place is filled with little maidens with bells who ring the bells and summon constant enemies you've killed before. So you, first of all, you have to get through mobs to kill the maiden. And after that, there's what are they called? The Amigdala dudes. Some of them are harmless. Some of them shoot lasers at you. And then there's these other like screaming things that also respawn infinitely that don't require the maiden of the bell. And this place was just like punish, punish, punish. I was getting slapped around everywhere. I was really not having a good time. And I don't know how I made it through. That is just pure perseverance. I don't know. At one point my brain shut off and it's just like, just stop trying to skill your way through this. Just run. When all else fails, just run. And I ran while exploring, while dodging, eventually made my way through all of that. And that just took me to the bagman's place where they imprison you. I ended up back there, and everything's more buffed, and there's creepy coffins out in the street, and everything hurts so much. Like, I'm just like, this is so ridiculous how much everything hurts and how creepy everything is, and the moon is red and there's tentacle faces everywhere, and I'm just like scratching the skin off my face of like, where am I? What am I doing with my life? Anyways, all this led to the third boss of the night. I think, did I talk about the third boss, the One Reborn, which was a disgusting mess of a boss. Again, a big boss where I'm like, what the heck am I looking at here? Where's the face? There's 5 faces. Where's the front? There's 2 fronts. Where's the back? They're touching each other. I'm just like, who designed all these bosses to be so cryptic to even look at? I can't conceptualize what I'm looking at. I'm trying to hit this thing on the front, it's the face, and then there's something kicking me, and then I go to the right and there's something still kicking me. There's literally like 6 feet around this thing kicking me in every direction. Fireballs coming from the sky, human vomit with human pieces falling from the sky. It was a mess. And the first thing was like, okay, where are these fireballs? I realized that there are people upstairs. So I found some stairs, cleared out all the maidens who were laughing at me and throwing fireballs. So once we got that out of the way, then it was just me and the One Reborn. I was like, all right, let's see what you do. Okay, you got a face here, you got a face here, and you got a big pile of flesh here. So I'm going to attack your big pile of flesh. And then I eventually learned one side vomits poison and the other side summons these things above your head. So you have to be constantly moving. You go in, you mash. When there's vomit on the floor, you step back, you keep dodging the stuff falling above, you mash. And honestly, once I understood that, it was okay. This boss was okay. I actually quite enjoyed this boss. This one, and I don't think I talked about Rom the Vacuous Spider in terms of if I enjoyed it or not. That one I enjoyed it too. I was not frustrated with it. Really, Amigdala was the only one that I was frustrated with, and it was more because of the camera than the boss itself. So in terms of boss quality, I complained about this earlier. We're getting better, but it's at the cost of the game getting way weirder and way harder. So maybe I'll take my like lame, non-memorable bosses instead. So after that, I did find a key in that whole area, which opens the upper cathedral, which is another optional area. In fact, I don't even know where I'm supposed to go after the One Reborn. I'm so lost once again. I keep going into all these optional areas and I don't know where to go. So I ended the stream. I'm at level 58. I have 40 insights. I'm learning that insights is making my life harder, but I'm a hoarder that doesn't want to get rid of my insight because I don't actually know what it means to have insight and to lose insight. I just know having insight reveals more creepy stuff. There's creepy stuff everywhere, and I'm just going to roll with it. I'm just going to keep going. I made it up to the upper cathedral. I was kind of exploring comfortably. I was actually into it. I lost track of time again, which is a good thing. And I was like, oh, I got to get to bed. So I went back to the lantern. But I'm looking forward to seeing what the upper cathedral has to offer. It's creepy. The boss, like the enemies are tough, but I can manage them. and there's probably a boss in here. I think this is an optional area. So that takes us to like 3 optional areas I've been at now. The Canehurst Castle, which I have to go back to eventually. The Nightmare Frontier, which I'm done with. And now we've got the Upper Cathedral / the Choir. I think those are 3. And I may have done other optional areas. It's all starting to blend together. But once I finish the Upper Cathedral, I really don't know where to go after this. I don't know what the game wants from me. There's a baby crying. I guess I got to go kill a baby. Why? I don't know. I don't know anything. I'm just wandering this nightmare that's just getting more weird. And hopefully we wake up at the end and it's all Solaire's, I don't know, happy dream, because that's what he was seeing when he was possessed by the brain thing. So I'll see you in the next journal or the next stream. 12 bosses remain. That's a lot of bosses. I can't imagine that there's still 12 bosses left in this game, considering I'm at almost level 60. But we got to plow through because we said we would. So I'll see you on the stream, on the next journal. Until next time, keep it classy. Subscribe.